In today's video, we're going to be discussing the question, how do you identify blind, legally blind, visually impaired, low vision? There's so many different choices, so let's go talk about it. Hey, this is Matt. Welcome back to the channel, Blind to Billionaire. I'm joined...
Hi, it's Corey. Nice to see you guys.
Yeah, so in today's video, we're going to be discussing the question, how do you identify? Do you identify as blind, legally blind, visually impaired, or low vision? There are so many different word choices that a lot of us use to identify our vision loss. So we thought it'd be an interesting topic to discuss how do you identify and why? Why do you identify that way? Right?
I agree. Somebody actually recently said that they said that they describe themselves as being partially sighted.
That's another one.
Or just a straight up VIP.
Yeah, that too. Partially sighted. I like that.
I kind of do too. I think it's probably accurate in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Plus, I think it's sort of mysterious. Like, well, what part are you sighted?
Right. I like that.
I like that too. I thought that was actually kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Or do you identify yourself by your what's causing your low vision? Like, do you say not necessarily like I'm blind, but do you rather say I have macular degeneration?
Right.
You know, some people might identify themselves by what's causing their vision loss.
Right.
Why don't you tell them how your progression was?
I guess before we get into that, my question would be, so let's say you're a person who identifies with your, the condition that's causing your vision loss. So let's say, like Corey was saying, macular degeneration, or let's say in my case, retinitis pigmentosa. So let's say you're specific, one of these people that's specific and tells your condition. Do you also follow it up by saying something like one of the keywords we were just talking about too? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep. So like when Matt introduced himself to me, he said that he has retinitis pigmentosa and that he's losing his vision.
True.
Which is interesting because it actually doesn't tell me how well he can currently see whatsoever.
But I didn't preface it by saying I have retinitis pigmentosa. What I did is I led into it. I said, like, my vision's really bad. It's been declining, and this is what's causing it. So I kind of led into like the name retinitis pigmentosa because I figured, like most people, she probably has never heard of it.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it. So then I did some research, but it was kind of a nice way to I don't know. I thought that was good.
Yeah.
Because it's like a little less aggressive. Like for him, meeting somebody who's doesn't know him.
Exactly.
A little less I don't know, scary or something.
Right. Yeah. So getting back to Corey's question, how do I identify and
how did you and how do you?
How did I and how do I? Well, that's actually an interesting question, and I'll actually get into that. So I actually have two distinctions, and I use two different words depending on the situation. So depending on who I'm talking to and the situation, that will determine how I want to identify. So for example, if I'm at the airport and I'm in a situation where I'm at an airport, what's another situation?
A
doctor's office.
A place where you need help.
Yep, I specifically use the word blind. And the reason I say that is, especially at the airport, I make it very specific, I'm blind. And the reason that I do that is because I feel like if I say I'm visually impaired, it may imply like, yes, my vision's bad, but I'm still good. But if I say, hey, dude, I'm blind, then the people there understand like, okay, this guy's blind. He actually needs assistance. Does that make sense? Like it's more of an extreme statement, I feel like, saying it's blind versus visually impaired. Is that bad to say?
Nope. I think it is because I think when you say blind, it implies that there's not like a corrective option.
Yep.
Like, oh, well, I'm visually impaired without my glasses. And I know some people say that they're legally blind without their glasses.
Yep.
But when you say straight up blind, it implies like this guy can't see.
Right.
Mi esposo es ciego. That means my husband is blind in Spanish.
Thank you.
There's Spanish-speaking people who watch this.
Yeah, I know. That's good. We actually, before we go, well, we learned that a couple years ago when we were traveling down to Dominican Republic. We thought it would actually be really beneficial to know how to say that in Spanish because, you know, it's nice to speak Spanish going to a country.
It's nice in the airport, but it's also nice like at a restaurant or things you can just throw out like, mi esposo es ciego, and no one's like, because if you say blind, low vision,
right,
you gotta like cover your eyes like he can't see. People are like, huh?
Yeah.
It just helps.
Yeah, it makes it so much easier just to speak their language, especially, being there. So, what was I saying? Oh,
Okay,
about
so you say
depending on the
blind
situation.
when you want to be really concrete.
Yep. So depending on the situation, when I want to be very specific in a situation like being at the airport, I want to say I am blind. A situation where I want to say I'm visually impaired would be, for example, I've explained in some of my videos that I do some type of, I do this contract work that I do every so often. And when I go to these types of people, I say that I'm visually impaired. Now, the reason is because it's less extreme. If I walk in and be like, yeah, I'm about to do a bunch of work for you and I'm blind, they might be like, no, no, you're not.
Yeah, like,
but
I'm
if
going
I
to tear
say,
apart your kitchen. I'm blind.
Right.
It's like,
yeah, so I choose to use the words visually impaired because it's less extreme. If I say, oh yeah, my vision is just really bad, I have a hard time getting around, but if I'm located in a central place and I don't need to do much traveling back and forth between 2 points, I'm good. My vision is just really bad. So I feel like that's a little bit less, what am I trying to say? Like
aggressive.
Yeah, it's less aggressive.
I also think it's worth noting that up until a year and a half or 2 ago, Matt didn't let anyone use the word blind to describe him.
Yeah.
And if I used the word blind at our house, wasn't allowed to.
Yeah.
True story.
Mm-hmm.
Because you didn't like it when I would say something about you being blind.
Right. I actually still
You
really
probably
don't
still
like
don't
that.
like that.
I still don't like it. When Corey's sitting and talking to people and she's like, Matt's blind. Matt's blind. Look at Matt, he's blind. I'm like, Corey, shut up. Shut up, Corey.
But the thing is it's like, you have to be clear.
I know. I still don't like it, though. Maybe, I don't know. There's something about it I don't like.
Well, I sound like a freak. Gosh. We could do a video. What does your spouse sound like in your head? Because, I sound
I'm Corey. That's what Corey sounds like to me.
I know, and it's like, why does he even be with me? Like, who would want to be with that person? Hey guys, I'm Matt. No, Matt doesn't sound like that in my head, but someday it'll come out.
Yeah. That's what I sound like to her.
No, it's not.
Yeah, so anyway, we're curious, how do you identify and why? So I would say I never identify as legally blind or low vision or partially sighted. Mm-hmm. I would say I've never used the words legally blind to describe myself. And the reason for it, I just don't feel like that's specific to me. It's just not a word choice that I've used to identify, right?
I would agree.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting. The other question I have is, how do you maybe define your word in some fashion? Like, do you feel like blind means XYZ, or low vision means something specific, or legally blind defines your vision in some way?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Because if Matt's being specific, he'll say, I have light perception.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's a new way that you've started describing your vision. Again,
yeah. So I lead into the light perception part after I say, if someone wants to know more, but I don't lead into something being like, yeah, I have low vision, I have light perception. Because nobody knows truly what that means. All of you in this community know what that means, but I would say, the average Joe doesn't know, what that totally means.
And I don't know what it really means.
What do you mean?
Because I don't know what it's like.
What I typically say is, depending on the situation, if I say I'm visually impaired and my vision is really bad, is typically how I like to tell a lot of people. I'll say I have light perception. What that means is I can see light. So, what I'll do is, if I'm in a house or something and there's a window and I can clearly see there's bright light coming in from the outside, I'll kind of look at the window and be like, I can see that there's a window right there because I can see the really bright light coming in, but I can't see anything else.
And that's kind of how I describe his vision too. He can see the window and the light's coming through it, but he can't see anything in the room, at all, because it's all the same kind of shade to him.
Exactly. And I'll even have some people ask, right after I get done saying that, I'll have some people ask, well, can you see me? And I'll be like, well, no, I can't, because it's true. Mm-hmm. But I think
people will be like, so he can't drive?
Yeah, but I think it's just their way of understanding more clearly, oh, okay, so your vision is pretty bad then.
technically you have double vision in one of your eyes,
I do.
right?
Well, I do. And the reason for that is because my right eye is worse than my left. And when I close my left eye and look just strictly out of my right, it's so incredibly blurry that it creates numerous images. But I mean, they're really blurry anyway, so it's not like I can make out anything anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
When we met, though, that was more of a key point.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Okay. Thanks,
So anyway,
guys.
we'd love to hear from you. How do you identify and why? So what are your words that you use to identify yourself? Do you typically stick to one word, like, hey, I'm blind? Do you just say that? Or do you use words interchangeably depending on situations like I do?
Or do you have a pet peeve?
Yeah.
Like, ooh, don't call me late for dinner.
Yeah. Whatever. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. All right, leave your comments down below. We'd love to hear how you identify, and stick around for Wednesday's video. There might be something special.
There might be. Probably I won't get to be in it this next time.
No, just fired.
No.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. We'd love to connect with you and get to know more about you. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, we respond to every comment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, see you later. Thanks for watching this.
Bye.